Hi kiddos, just 4 simple activities that we're going to do today, and you don't need to record yourself or anything like that. I'm just going to have you go do these on your own, observe, come back and answer some questions on Canvas discussion board that I've posted as part of our tasks for today. This activity is, there's 2 things that I'm going to have you do. The first is going to involve water coming out of a container. You can use anything that you might have around your house, paper cup, maybe like a recycled jar, plastic jar of some kind, even like an empty tin can or anything else that you might have around. You just need to be able to poke a small hole on the bottom of it. So I'll use a paper cup, use a sharp knife or a pair of scissors. Obviously be careful at this point, make sure you are not puncturing your own hand or anything like that, but you just want to make a small hole on the bottom of the container, and it should be something that is small enough that you could cover with one finger, like that. So what you're then going to do is fill your container with water. Again, I'm over a sink, but I recommend if you want to do this, you can do this outside or over a tub as well. Water is going to spill, so you want to make sure you're over somewhere where that can happen. Plug the hole with your finger, and the first thing I want you to do is just take your finger away. Not surprisingly, water starts to come out of the container. And so the first question you're going to need to answer on the discussion board is why? Why, when we remove our finger, does water flow downwards? Refill your container. And now, this is kind of the tricky part, is you're going to drop the entire thing. So rather than just removing your finger, you're going to remove your finger and drop the cup at the same time. Now this is where things can potentially get messy. We'll talk about this later, but one of Newton's laws is that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So know that if you drop a cup of water in the sink, the water is going to shoot back up. So if you want to put sort of a lid or a cover or something like that on top just to sort of prevent a huge mess from forming, you should do that. If you're outside, it should be okay. But what I want you to notice is, remember, water dribbled out of the hole. But now if you let go of the entire thing at once, you should notice that there's no water that comes out from that hole on the bottom. It's only a brief moment when it's falling, but that's what I want you to watch for. You can do this a few times if you need to. Just refill the container, start it again, but I want you to watch and see if you remove your finger but also drop the cup at the same time, does water come out of the bottom like it did during our first demonstration? So the question you should, hopefully you observe that no water does escape from there, and I would like to know why. Why doesn't water flow out of the bottom of the cup when we remove our finger but also drop the entire container? The next 2 activities you need to do, you need to find just a single sheet of paper. It can be blank printer paper, it could be a receipt, it could be anything that is light in a single sheet that you have in your house, and then find a heavy book of some kind, something that you're willing to drop. I've got my daughter's copy of Brown Bear, but you can use a textbook, you can use anything else that you might have. And this is going to be sort of that drop test, where what I'd like you to do is at first just hold the sheet of paper or the receipt or whatever it is that you have and the book at the same height, and you can drop them on a counter or just all the way on the floor. Maybe warn people around you before that you're going to make a loud noise. But what you should observe is that the book falls a lot faster than the sheet of paper. So my question is why? A lot of you are probably familiar with the fact that gravity acts on all objects in the same way. So why don't the paper and the book hit the counter or the ground at the same time? The 4th and last thing you need to do is another drop test, but this time what I'd like you to do is place the paper on top of the book and drop them again at the same time. And you should notice that the paper and book now hit the ground or the counter at exactly the same time. They fall together. And so the 4th question is why? Why, when you put the paper on top of the book, do they fall at the same speed, whereas when we were holding them separately, they didn't? And then make sure you've cleaned up everything that you've been using, put things back before you go and answer the questions on the discussion.